Welcome back to the Difference Engine podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Oakes. I want to tell you one of the most expensive lies in business. Maybe not the most common lie. It is common, though. It is very expensive. It costs people millions of dollars in their careers, destroys marriages in some cases, closes businesses sometimes, closes the doors, and it will definitely keep you small. The lie is, nobody can do it as well as me. And it sounds responsible as long as it's kept in your head, but as soon as you say it out loud, you can recognize how limiting that is. It masquerades as high standards. It feels like excellence, feels like leadership, but it's underneath all that wrapped up in fear. And it becomes a prison for the business owner. Most businesses, especially small businesses, start out because a person is good at something. They're good at plumbing, they're good at dentistry, roofing, renovation. We get this with attorneys, consultants. They're usually good, probably even exceptional. And so they start a business around it. The issue is employment has trained us that making money means being a specialist. A lot of us were raised to think brain surgeons make all that money because they went to school for it, and brain surgery is a really tough thing to learn, which is true. But the hours are horrendous, and the student loan is equally horrendous. And it's not a business. It is not an asset. So being a specialist does not equal millions of dollars in business. Being a generalist does. So if you start a business because you're really good at a specific skill set, you have to understand that you're going to add marketing, sales, finance, networking, hiring, recruiting, promoting, all on top of that stack, plus, plus, plus. So then that 100% skill at the one thing gets shrunk down to now it's 50% of all the work you do. And the larger your company gets, the less specialist it is. And so then you start with all the stuff where you're selling the jobs, delivering the work, handling complaints, sending invoices, sweeping the floors, doing whatever needs done. And in year one of a business, if you're bootstrapping it, that will make you survive. That will get you through. By year 3 and 5, it will kill you. Because eventually the business grows, but if the owner doesn't let go, they will stop running the business and start carrying it. And the entire company is now balanced on one exhausted human being. And usually everyone around knows it. The spouse knows for sure. Kids will eventually know. Staff for sure knows. And maybe the customers know too. Eventually will know. The owner's the bottleneck. Because of the lie, no one can do it as well as me. There's ego hiding in that statement. And it's not like toxic, ugly, bad ego. It's not even arrogance. It's identity. Think about it for a second. It comes back down to, I'm the one who solves all the problems. What happens when other people become capable? If you're the hero, what happens when you're no longer needed as a rescuer? A lot of owners don't do everything because they have to. They do everything because it becomes part of who they are. Their title to them is the indispensable one. The firefighter, the fixer of all problems. They are the savior of their business. But if there's a hero in the business, it's not a business. It's a job with overhead, and usually a very stressful one. Most jobs aren't as stressful as being the hero business owner. And we all cerebrally, intellectually know that the best leaders don't create dependence. They create capability. They leave room for things to breathe. They create space for people to come up underneath them and learn from them and grow to their fullest potential. It's not really about solving today's problems. That's not a system, that's reactivity. It's about anticipating tomorrow's problems, solving tomorrow's. And it takes patience and repetition, and definitely takes tolerating mistakes. It requires you to be okay with the fact that someone might do something differently than you. Maybe you're familiar with this quote, but it's, if someone can do the job 80% as well as you, give it to them. Because running a business isn't so much about giving a 5.5-star experience. It's about, can you deliver consistently? Meaning, if I go to a fast food chain here in the Midwest and then go out to California, if it's got the same logo on the outside, I get the same food when I'm there because the system produces it. A good sports organization makes quality players rather than drafting stars to play for them and capturing that. The system of the sports team, of the coach, the system of the business franchise is what produces the result, not necessarily the people inside it, although that is important. So it does take a lot of repetition. It does take tolerating mistakes. It does take allowing people to grow up through skill levels and ranks. And if the standard is everything has to be done exactly like me, then you'll never delegate anything. If the standard becomes, I just want to produce a desired outcome, I want to consistently deliver a quality product. If it's about you doing it exactly the way, if you have to reproduce the family recipe every single time, then you're probably going to be the only one who's doing it. Now, growth becomes possible as soon as you're willing to just do the desired outcome and allow for some variance. Not that it has to be crazy and other people should just make mistakes or be so creative it's unrecognizable, but it's two routes. You can do the superhero thing and control every little bit, or you can allow for other people to take the reins and you promote yourself as a business owner through the ranks of your company. And this isn't a problem with just business, it's a life problem. It bleeds into every area of life. It's working weekends, answering texts on vacation, checking emails at dinner, missing moments, being absent from memories, missing life. And the real kicker is that pretty much every entrepreneur I know started their business for freedom. They started the business to become free, and they spent decades constructing a more demanding boss than their employer ever was. And that's pretty heartbreaking. Freedom in business is not about owning everything. Freedom is about building something that works without your fingerprints on every single decision. So, here's the question. If this is resonating for you, what are you refusing to let go of right now? Sales, ops, bookkeeping, marketing? Maybe it's just allowing people to grow or get their feedback. Because every business owner reaches a fork in the road. You can be needed or you can be free. You can be the hero or the architect. And you can build a business around your effort or around systems and people and processes and leverage. So it's either very clearly, as you go further along, it's very clearly either dependence, which leads to exhaustion, or it's independence, where you allow people to flourish and you're giving them the guidelines through systems to train them. And it does all correlate back to identity, the feeling of being needed and wanted, being useful. If one person draws all their usefulness from one area of life, that is eventually going to be crippling for their identity. I've heard it from business owners a lot when they retire and their phone stops ringing. They realize that all the things they were needed for was just convenience for their clients or customers. It wasn't an actual relationship. And that is tough to live with. So if you know somebody or you sense that you're deriving most of your identity and usefulness from one area of life, like business, the question is what happens when that goes away. That's very similar to like parents who become empty nesters and then have to relearn their whole relationship because it was built on the framework of having children and working with their kids and getting them what they needed, and they don't recognize each other. It's because all their identity was drawn naturally into one area, and when that area goes away, there's a big gaping hole. Identity gaps are not fun when you find them. So maybe in business, let's stop asking, how do I do more? And start asking, who else can learn to do this for me? One of the things I do with my clients a lot is have them put in an AI prompt, run the principles of the book, Who Not How, over top of my business and tell me what I can do to bring people in and take stuff off my plate. Because the game of business, if you're really playing it, is about giving jobs away. It's really about finding all the right levers to pull at the right times, which is decided by your gross revenue, your net revenue, your profit margin. That is the clock by which you decide which levers to pull and then who you bring in systematically. And you really just want to give jobs away continually over years until the only job left is a CEO who shows up 15 hours a week. So if you got value from this episode, share it with a business owner who needs to hear it. And remember, there is no substitute for living the life of your dreams.